Republicans are blasting party leadership for sending members home without voting to address Obamacare first. This is a decision that will force millions of Americans to be uninsured, to go without insurance, or to pay a lot more for higher insurance premiums, with those enhanced subsidies expiring next week. But some GOP centrists are signing on to a Democratic push to force a vote on extending the subsidies when Congress reconvenes. Here's Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries making a prediction.
House Democrats are going to continue to fight to get this extension through the Congress on our side. It will pass with a bipartisan majority, and then that will put the pressure on John Thune and Senate Republicans to actually do the right thing by the American people.
We're joined now by Republican Congressman Mike Herodopoulos of Florida. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us. You've said you don't want to rubber stamp a broken system, but policy debate aside, the dollars and cents of this are that you have 90,000 people in your district, according to KFF, who receive these subsidies and are about to pay a lot more for health insurance here in 9 days. What are they telling you?
Well, we're all concerned about the health care costs that the Democrats created many years ago. And all the subsidies aren't making up for the fact that Obamacare has been a colossal failure. They said that the prices would go down, you get to keep your doctor, and they take away power from health insurance companies. The exact opposite has happened. We have passed a bill in the House that will actually reduce Obamacare costs by 11%. Unfortunately, as you know, Brianna, during the budget debate in July, the Democrats actually used what's called the Byrd Rule in the Senate to take those provisions out. We put them back in. We hope that the Democrats will support our effort to actually reduce premiums so that we can all benefit, not just Obamacare beneficiaries, but all Americans are being hit hard by the failure of Obamacare.
I think anyone who has had to deal with health costs will tell you they're a problem. It's been 15 years, though, since Obamacare passed. That's a lot of time to try to address the costs of health care, isn't it?
I couldn't agree with you more. What has happened every time we try to push together some different ideas, like we did again this week in the Congress, with Republicans pushing an idea that actually reduce costs and give more people options as opposed to just Obamacare. As I mentioned, I hope that people look back at July. We passed a measure that would actually reduce Obamacare by 11%. And the Democrats actually fought it, which is shocking to me because they, like us, they said they want to reduce costs.
Let me stop you there. We're talking about addressing health care costs, right? And I certainly hear your concern with Obamacare. But if we're talking about addressing health care costs, those have been a problem prior to the passage of Obamacare. They've continued to be a problem after the passage of Obamacare. And I hear what you're saying about this past summer, but it has been 15 years. So when you're talking about trying to address only now these issues of costs, why let these subsidies expire if you don't have a solution and your party has had a decade and a half to try to come up with one?
Well, that's a fair question, Brianna, and that's the reason why I ran for Congress last year. In Florida, we've been doing innovative things to reduce costs, and the reason why so many people want to move to Florida because we are an efficient state. And as you and I have discussed before, Brianna, as you recently saw with the GAO report, 1/3 of all the people on Obamacare could be what they call basically mystery persons, meaning that they're people who are phantom enrollees, where their fraud there is so rampant. And for us to just rubber stamp it, I think, is the wrong thing to do. We have put a proposal out that actually reduces costs in the short term, and in the long term, it starts to reform a system. Because what I'm worried about is not just the 24 million people in Obamacare. There's 165 million people who pay full freight, meaning around $2,000 a month for a family of four, and pay higher taxes to subsidize those 24 million of people on Obamacare. I, like you, want to work on a long-term solution. I know these are difficult spots for some people who've got a reduced cost because of the COVID subsidies, but COVID's over, and we can't just continue to throw money at a program that's clearly broken.
It seems prudent to ask questions about fraud and inefficiencies that cost taxpayers money. Certainly does. But even these subsidies have been in effect for years. And the peak of the pandemic has long passed. So why now addressing it without dealing with the dollars and cents of this increasing the cost for 90,000 people potentially in your district?
Well, again, I'm sympathetic to those 90,000 without doubt, but I'm also sympathetic to the other almost 700,000 people who are paying overall healthcare costs. We've been pushing for years to push for more accountability. The Democrats don't want to do it. And as you know, when the Democrats had power in 21, 22, they did nothing to address these costs either, let alone not reducing taxes on overtime, tips, let alone Social Security. We're trying to make things more affordable, but we have to look at the entire system, not just 24 million people who've been helped by the subsidies that were put in during the COVID years. So all we're doing is rolling back the COVID subsidies because COVID's over. And hopefully this will do the very thing you're asking me. Let's reform the healthcare system in a fundamental way and move away from this current system that's clearly not working. And I'll add one more thing, Brianna. We actually want to allow people to work together so they can leverage those health insurance companies that are currently leveraging them. Because at the end, it's been healthcare companies that have really done well the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's been discussion from the jump of this passage about how you do that with health insurance companies, how you bend the cost curve. Republicans have also been in power multiple times since then. So I take your point of pointing at Democrats, but if people want to point at lawmakers, they can point at everyone, right, when it comes for addressing the cost curve. This isn't something that you can just blame Democrats for, right? Republicans have to seriously think about what they have and have not done, because it's not like you just had an opportunity to do this. I mean, you could have joined with Democrats to address this cost of health coverage.
Well, if I joined the Democrats, we'd be continuing to subsidize a broken system where 1/3 of the people on Obamacare could be phantom enrollees. I'm not going to do that. But I will say this. In July, I can't just point fingers one way, but I can bring up this point, Brianna. In July, we had to measure, and these CSRs would have reduced the cost of Obamacare. The Democrats fought it. I don't understand why they would fight something that would clearly reduce rates. Even the CBO, which I don't like, agreed that they would reduce rates. So let's look at those starts. And I think that a lot of us new members feel like Republicans and Democrats have both fumbled the ball on health care. It's the reason why we have a new leadership team led by Mike Johnson and John Thune, and they've done things to actually reduce costs. We see gasoline prices down. We see the border secure. We see that interest rates are down. The stock market's at levels. Give us a chance to let our policies be truly enacted. And I think that people will see that they have more money in their pocket. And we want to take on this healthcare system. That's why we passed a bill last week. We hope that the Senate Democrats will say, you know what, this is better than nothing. Let's take the Republicans' offer. At least that reduces rates by 11%.
A lot of concerns, certainly, though, about coverage and how it does affect a lot of people with health insurance. Congressman Mike Karadopoulos, thank you so much for being with us. Some body camera video showing a man accused of shoplifting pulling